about to do is I'm about to go through this Kanye situation, his apology, one step at a time, and just kind of break it down like line by line. He says a bunch of nonsense. The thing that I hate the most about the way Kanye speaks, he just says a bunch of random things, but within those random things are nuggets, and then people will look for those nuggets and then look for the truth in those things and then say, see, he's a genius from confirmation bias. He doesn't directly respond to questions ever, and he's literally just rambling, a lot of times incoherently and definitely incogently. I've seen people say he apologized. He didn't apologize, at least not to my knowledge. Here we go.
Yes, absolutely.
Anti-Semitic statements are never good for anybody, right? It's kind of like being anti-black.
But, it's really interesting. I didn't realize that I could be considered anti-Semitic till I read one of the definitions of anti-Semitism. Look at this. The definition says, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively. This sounds like let it go by. What was that? All right, so it says, think about it, that sounds like the type wording that's in the contracts, right?
Indeed.
Okay, it says, such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions.
But isn't that what you said? That Jews run everything?
This person is just kind of jumping in. So I think I get the point that Kanye's making here. What it seems like is he's basically saying, so if you mention that like they're in powerful positions in media or government or any of those kinds of things, then they're saying that that's anti-Semitic, which is kind of weird, because if they do occupy some of these spaces, then why would it be anti-Semitic? What does that mean? It seemed like a pretty, I don't know, nebulous definition. That seems like if ever any of the tenets of it were true, it would seem pretty weird to label it hateful to talk about the truth of these things. Like if we start, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that actually is considered to be anti-Semitic.
Right.
So I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor, I have a
Do you regret your statements?
Or the statements you think you should be walking back? Considering...
What do you mean walking back?
Well, backing up off of them. The thing is you've lost a lot of endorsements. People are dropping you. You're getting, vilified. You might think you're right, but I think, there's a whole world out there that's condemning you for what you said.
Okay, so this right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post.
1 minute later.
Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
See, now this is a little bit scary though, because I don't know, like how many other executives are there that are not Jewish at these companies, right? Like, is this like an exhaustive list of all of the executives? I would need to see that list to know that. If it's an exhaustive list, then it would seem absolutely ridiculous to say that we can't say that Jewish people are running these things. But the problem is, I don't know that this is exhaustive. I actually doubt that it's exhaustive. If somebody can tell me that this is exhaustive, please link me something that like shows that. Let me break down, because I know people really can't follow. Exhaustive means like all comprehensive, all including, right? Meaning containing all of it, right? So in other words, for example, maybe on one of these things, maybe this is 5 of the people that are Jewish, and then there are 150 of other executives that are not Jewish. And so then at this point, it's only like a super duper minority of those people are Jewish, right? So then but if this is an exhaustive list, that means that contains all of those all of those executives, and it seems like they're all red, right? It'd be really easy to sit there and say, here, I'm going to create a list and I'm going to only include like just the Jewish ones and say, see how many Jews there are, right? That doesn't say anything, right?
Do you think they stuck together when they heard what you said? Is that what happened?
Well, what I said is, hey, I've had experiences where it felt like I was being teamed up on. And I didn't realize that that term would be considered to be anti-Semitic. So I had a mediation with Adidas today, and I think Adidas felt like because everyone else was ganging up on me that they had the right to just take my designs. And I feel like right now, I feel like that was in Christianity. We don't say karma. We say you reap what you sow. And I feel like this is God humbling me right now, because there's two things that are happening. A lot of times when I would say, oh, I'm the richest black man, it would be a defense that I would use for the mental health conversation. To say, oh, you guys say I'm crazy, but look at this, I made money. And but that is not godlike to be showing off. So if it's not godlike, then God will take that, because it's all the church's money, right? So what's happening right now is I'm being humbled. Another thing that's happening is by me being burned to the flesh every single day, it's actually proving what I had to say. So
It seems like he's kind of just rattling off like the talking points that people are saying, like, "Hey, him being canceling proves his point." And was his point that he can be canceled? Because that seemed like the opposite of his point. If you guys remember, there was a video where he said, "They can't cancel me even if I said something anti-Semitic." I remember that video where Kanye specifically said, "Even if I say something anti-Semitic, they can't cancel me."
the thing about it, me and Adidas, is like I could literally say anti-Semitic shit and they can't drop me. I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
So that's a contradiction to his point. So which point was it that they're proving here? That's crazy.
When I went to the mediation, what I want to say is, like, black people are like, okay, Lex Friedman got you to apologize. Pierce Morgan got you to apologize to the Jews.
Just complete digression. Like, we're just moving on to another point. I don't even know what he was getting at with that. We just move on. See, I'm telling you, it's crazy.
But you never apologized to us about the George Floyd comment that made us feel bad. Now, the thing is, okay, JFK, they got a lot of documentaries about how it happened. So we can argue about how it happened, which I like the fact that we can do that. But regardless,
This is where I think the biggest problem comes in. Comparing this George Floyd situation to the JFK situation is crazy. The JFK thing, like, there was a bunch of different people that had like all these different conspiracies and ideas, and we weren't sure if the person was, I think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. But then there were other people saying, no, it had to be someone on the grassy knoll or whatever the freak, right? There's just so many different things, right? And some people are saying that it's just a fall guy. And so there's different documentaries that have conversations about this thing. It wasn't like they were able to get like the same type of evidence as they have in the George Floyd situation, where it's pretty direct. We all see a video of a person kneeling on this nigga's neck. Secondly, we have the example of the actual coroners that made the other statement. Then we have toxicology reports. So we have all of the information where these things can be like scientifically verified. We're not speculating about the death of George Floyd. We know what killed him. That's different than when you're trying to say maybe there's a possibility of another assassination, right? Because there could have been multiple assassinations for John F. Kennedy. That's possible. And then lastly, you're not apologizing if you're saying, hey, we can argue about it. Someone comes to you and tells you that your mom has some thought that been ran through by like by all of their crew. And you know that they're lying, and so you want to smoke with them. And then when you decide, like, okay, and nigga, when I see you, it's on, and they go, wait, hold on. You know, sex is a private matter, and, you know, we can argue about who slept with who and all that stuff. But, you know, I mean, I like the fact that we can argue about these things. No, this isn't up for argument. At this point, if you've done something disrespectful, then I'm going to expect you to retract it, to say, well, you know, maybe I did and I didn't. So it feels like you're not really owning that. And that's exactly what he's doing here.
when I see that video as a black person, it hurts my feelings. And I know that police do attack, and America is generally racist. And I understand that when we got to say Black Lives Matter, that the idea of it made us feel good together as a person, as a people, right? When let me say it so the soundbite is better for you guys. When the idea of Black Lives Matter came out, it made us come together as a people. Now afterwards, yes, there was some things where the money went. There were some things where it was used in order to push us to the Democratic vote. There were people behind it involved. That happened, but the general feeling. So when I said that, and I questioned the death of George Floyd, it hurt my people. It hurt the black people. So I want to apologize to hurting them, because right now God has shown me.
Again, this isn't an apology. If you haven't taken it back, you didn't apologize. That's the whole point. If I say something hurtful or injurious to you, and then you get upset, and I go, yeah, I know it hurt your feelings, but I still feel that way, and I would do it all over again, then you didn't apologize. I'm sorry that your feelings is hurt, but I don't feel like I did anything wrong. That's not a real apology.
By what Adidas is doing and by what the media is doing, I know how it feels to have a knee on my neck now.
But you said that George Floyd didn't have a knee on his neck. Are you clearing that up? Absolutely not.
They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that.
And now you're just equating yourself to this George Floyd situation where George Floyd was literally murdered. He died. The man was crying and asking for his mama as he was being literally murdered. The life was being snuffed out of him, and you're denying that. And now you're saying, but yeah, now I get it though, because, the Adidas got the knee on my neck. What?
So I thank you, God, for humbling me and letting me know how it really felt. Because how could the richest black man ever be humbled other than to be made to not be a billionaire in front of everyone off of one comment that actually, if you look at the definition of DEF CON, it means to get extra defense, which obviously I must have needed.
Yeah.
I must have needed that extra defense.
Are you worried you ruined your legacy, Kanye?
How?
How, Slay? Well,
Stop.
I'm not worried. I'm just not worried, period. God is alive. God runs the world. God even runs Hollywood. God is alive. And he's using me right now. He chose me for such a time like this to basically for the media to.
That's a perfect example, man. But you could do whatever you want to do, but then as long as he says those kind of statements, then it's just like, oh, see, he gets us. No, he's for us. He's right. Like a Christian can ignore maybe your artistic endeavors are like antithetical to all of our beliefs, but you make the statement, God is alive and God runs this world, and it's like, see, Kanye, I knew he was one of us. The same thing happened with Trump. Trump would do all of this like completely non-Christian things. He wasn't living a Christian life in any capacity, but all he has to do is say something that resonates with people, that like indicate some sort of shared value, and then that just means that they immediately fall for him. And it's crazy that people are so fickle, right?
Put their knee on my neck, for Adidas to put their knee on my neck. All I ever wanted at Adidas, I left Nike because Nike wouldn't give me a percentage for my shoes when I had the Red October, and my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and I needed to get some money, because if I was the kid that just had the red shoes, I could have never been a black man wearing a red hat. Right. When the Nike.
What does that mean? What he's basically saying, if I was if when I had to deal with Nike, I couldn't wear the red hat. I couldn't be wearing a MAGA hat. So you needed to leave Nike because you needed money, and you wanted to be able to wear a MAGA hat, which is greatly offensive to quite a few people, especially when you're claiming to be pro-black and you're wearing the hat of the person who's claiming to be a nationalist when white nationalism is trending, and saying, this phrase is getting a lot of bad press right now. I don't know, people don't like that word, but I'm going to say it. I'm a nationalist.
They have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist. Nationalist. Nothing. Use that word. Use that word.
Now he's saying that when white ethno-nationalists are literally doing terrorist attacks against American citizens, and we're all talking about this white nationalism and how much of a problem it is, such that the FBI is investigating it, the Department of Justice is investigating all these attacks, and they're saying that this is the greatest threat that's actually facing America right now, more so than ISIS or any sort of Muslim terrorists or anything like that. It's really these white nationalist terrorists. And so now we're decrying white nationalism, which means that we want a country that's exclusively for white people, and Trump decides to dog whistle and say, hey, I'm a nationalist. That's the guy whose hat he's wearing.
He would have shut me down immediately, right?
Right.
But because Adidas was a German company, it gave me a little bit more room to be able to express myself and to actually have a political opinion as an American, that I wasn't forced into a political opinion because of the color of my skin. Now let's talk about the red hat, and let's talk about the similarities to the White Lives Matter t-shirt. The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor that diagnosed me of having a disorder that would have had me on medication right now. At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out. And
I thought he was going to be talking about the red hat, but we're not talking about the red hat now. We're just talking about the whole point of like what you feel is a Jewish doctor could possibly like lead towards you being assassinated or something. The red hat was incidental. You were just saying the red hat led me to exhaustion, and this exhaustion led me to this doctor, and this Jewish doctor misdiagnosed me, and this mixed diagnosis could make me vulnerable in circumstances like this. Then the topic is not the red hat. The topic is about, it's crazy. I'm telling you, this person is not, these aren't cogent thoughts.
And it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again. But because I didn't take the misdiagnosis, and I didn't take the medication, I'm able to speak to you guys clear of thought and transparently.
But not cogently.
Now let me talk about the red hat. Wearing the MAGA hat, the way that Hollywood's political agenda attacked me and put me to a point of exhaustion was death by 1,000 cuts. Everyone would say something to me, from a driver to my ex-wife to Adidas. Everyone would say something. So when I wore that White Lives Matter, I said, I'm not going through this again. I'm not going. Hey, y'all gonna leave me alone about my t-shirt. Because what's the point of having influence and having money if people could come up and just pinch you?
But don't you think having influence, you have a responsibility?
And that's the responsibility that I'm taking right here.
Don't you think
That's
those
why
are-
you asked that question.
Wait, taking responsibility how?
But don't you think
Speaking
it's
up for a
dangerous
reason.
rhetoric to be anti-Semitic, to say all lives matter or white lives matter? No, I'm asking.
You're
I'm
harping
asking.
on
No,
something.
wait, saying white lives matter, anti-Semitic. That's what you
No,
just
I'm not
asked.
saying that's
No,
anti-Semitic.
you just said that though.
No,
He didn't say White Lives Matter was anti-Semitic. He was mentioning two different things. Hold on, let's rewind it.
dangerous rhetoric to be anti-Semitic, to say all lives matter.
It's dangerous rhetoric to be anti-Semitic, comma, to say all lives matter, comma,
Or white lives matter.
or white lives matter. So you're mentioning three different things: to be anti-Semitic, to say all lives matter, or to say white lives matter. All three of those things are dangerous rhetoric. That's what this person is asking, and the people around him are going to jump on this.
I'm asking.
You're
I'm
harping
asking.
on
No,
something.
saying white lives matter, anti-Semitic. That's what you
No,
just
I'm not
asked.
saying that's anti-Semitic.
No, you just said that though.
No, and I
But you
misspoke. But I'm saying
no,
to
you
walk
didn't.
around
That was a
with-
You
Freudian
didn't
slip.
misspeak.
I'm
So now we're not even going to deal with what he actually said. Number one, he didn't actually say that. Even if he did misspeak, it's no, it was a Freudian slip. So you actually meant it. So now you can't even correct the narrative.
I'm trying to correct myself.
Okay, correct
So I'm saying
yourself.
To walk around with
Do you
a white
want
lives
to
matter.
walk back that statement?
Sure, I will.
You got the chance.
Walk back that statement.
Do you think maybe that? Do you think maybe
No,
that?
wait a
the
second. He's
No,
gonna
no,
walk back.
but I'm saying you're wearing the White Lives Matter shirt, and Black Lives Matter, and a lot of people think that you're being anti-black by saying that.
No, how?
What?
Let him talk, bro. In America,
This is one of my most frustrating things. The point that he's trying to say, because he said wearing the White Lives Matter shirt and Black Lives Matter, and this is something that happens. Once you start being attacked over your words, you start tripping over your words because you start analyzing your words. Because most of the time when you're communicating, communication is supposed to be coming from a very natural place where you're just expressing your ideas and your thoughts freely, and because you're expressing them freely, then they come out pretty normally. Once you start becoming hypercritical of the things that you're saying, you find it a lot more difficult. I'm a billion times better at like standing up and just talking to someone and saying what I believe and just like, yeah, that's my idea. And then when all of a sudden I got to go start recording on video, a lot more uhs come out, a lot more ands come out, because now I'm starting to be a little critical. Like, I need to make sure I say this succinctly. Make sure this is communicated properly. Make sure. And so now at this point, it stops being, it's a lot less natural. Extemporaneously, I'm a beast, but of course I still think that there's something beautiful about being able to collect your thoughts and making sure that they're really cogent and like packaging them in a specific way. And I think in the same sense, now this person is starting to be, like trapped up, and because of the fact that everyone's kind of ganging up now, it's going to be worse and worse and worse. And I think one of my most frustrating things about this situation is that Kanye West, it seems like, is never being actually challenged by a person that can truly actually challenge him, that can hold him to task. This person is trying to communicate to him, hey, wearing the White Lives Matter shirt is anti-black. That's what he's trying to communicate here. But now he said wearing the White Lives Matter shirt and the anti-black shirt, and Black Lives Matter shirt is anti-black. And then people are just like, what? How? Which, of course, yeah, how would wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt be anti-black? But I understand what he's trying to say. And if we're trying to be fair, if we're being charitable, we would obviously get it, but they're not going to get it because they're not trying to. Listen, one more time.
White Lives Matter shirt. And Black Lives Matter. And a lot of people think that you're being anti-black by saying
No, how?
What? Please let him talk, bro.
In America, black people don't take all the rights that we have that are actually given to us.
That's true.
Because we weren't given what we were promised in the first place, which was the 40 acres. Instead, we were given...
And a mule.
And a mule. Instead, we were given projects and bad food and posters of Oprah Winfrey. And also Planned Parenthood. People said to me multiple times, visit the Holocaust Museum.
How is this at all a response towards what he's talking about regarding if the Black Lives Matter shirt is anti-black? How is this at all related? It's not. So in that conversational terrorism thing that I talked about before, like, just with the stream and everything, the idea is that people a lot of times, especially in political discourse, they just take an opportunity to hijack a topic and then digress into whatever it is that they want to talk about. So like, it's called this or that. Basically, like, you might say, like, what do you think about the federal budget deficit? And they'll be like, well, that's one thing, but like, yeah, that's a serious problem. But the biggest problem is crime. That's why I'm proposing this crime. And then they'll just go on to that. Right. And it's like, wait, that's not at all what I'm asking you. And I feel like Kanye is like the perfect person of that. I'm asking you is wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt anti-black, and then you're not even responding to the question. This isn't an engagement at all.
I said, visit our Holocaust Museum. It's called Planned Parenthood. 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and I am sorry for your losses. 20 million blacks died to abortion, and Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger with the real KKK as population control. Margaret Sanger is a eugenics and is working today. The number one cause of death for black people in America is abortion. The most dangerous place for a black man today, or black baby, black woman, is in their mother's stomach. And that is a programming that's pushed through, I got a new word for 2024, the red media. That is the red media. If you go to Apple right now, go to Apple Music. Let's load up the top 10 songs. I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing.
Absolutely.
Not just one. They're promoting black. The red media is...
So now he's still like, this is a Jewish dog whistle. I'm not going to lie. There are like, I understand the idea that there are white people, not just Jewish people, but there are non-black people that have been at the top that have been like highly promoting this type of music. And there have been black people. Let's not forget about the subject matter of Tupac's music when he joined Death Row Records. Like, so black people have been responsible for a lot of this stuff as well. But then also I feel like black people are following the blueprint. Since we know that this is what's successful, then black people are more likely to do it.
Making money off of blacks being serial killers to each other. Also misogynistic. The red media is making money off of that. and God sees it. But I understand, and I'm not judging because the oppressed becomes the oppressor. And it is our time now. Blacks are coming into money. We are not scared anymore. And I showed you that
Black wealth is supposed to hit $0 by 2053. Now, yes, there's obviously been a complete distancing from the middle class blacks versus the lower class blacks and things like that. The problems that we face in this country are not identical. To like sit here and say that like, oh, things are changing, we're like, it's almost like things are looking up, and it's like quantifiably, that's just not true. It's not. But, you know, Republicans, they live in their own world, and Kanye West is going to be a Republican.
cross that line. They tried to bankrupt me. They tried to say I was crazy, and I'm alive. We haven't had a full black community since the gentrification of Harlem and Black Wall Street, which was torn down. But I know my brothers, my engineers, my architects, my farmers are gonna rise up. And if it meant they had to take me and drag me like Emmett Till in front of everyone because I whistled, I know my brothers, my engineers, and I have no reason to lie. My family was taken away from me. My reputation has been smeared. I get it. So let's close with a prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for the voice. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you for the experience. And thank you for the love. Because even though the real hate is what's happening on the media, and the idea of DEF CON was to get protected.
Is he still praying or not? He just started praying and just kind of just went right into conversation again. And then
for a time like this, let's lead with love. I have no association to any hate group. If any hate happens upon any Jewish person, it is not associated, because I am demanding that everyone walk in love. Even though there's been things that have happened wrong to me that made me want to speak up, that you guys saw in the past 2 weeks. You saw the power. You saw Ari Emanuel come out in public and ask, if that happened in public, what do you think happened in private? And what do you think happened in private to so many people for so many years? But what I'm telling everyone, no matter what background you are, no matter what socioeconomic class you are, walk with love right now. Do what God would want. What would Jesus do? Walk with love, spread happiness. I thought that I wasn't gonna be like MLK and stand there. There's times I felt very Malcolm X, but for some reason God has called me to love and to ask for love for everyone. It's time for us just to love, because love is the answer. It is the only way. Gandhi said, someone who was actually considered to be a racist, right? Gandhi said, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Jesus, Father God, spread the love. Put the love in our hearts, and know that we are not each other's enemy, but we're all children of you. And you can bring this world to a peaceful place on earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys.
Thank you, Kanye.
We love you. Kanye, can I I'm done with my energy's done.
Thank you, Kanye.
I don't know where the apology was. I don't think that was it.